The best part of 1,000 miles of road through Scotland, and many of today's primary routes follow either directly or very close by the old military roads of General Wade. In fact, there's a rhyme that says if you'd seen these roads before they were made, you'd lift up your hands and bless General Wade. And it's a bit ironic actually that when Prince Charlie retreated over those roads, originally built to get the Hanoverian and government troops to the alleged trouble spots that little bit quicker. It's a bit ironic that he retreated over those roads that had been originally built for that purpose, to his final defeat, of course, on the battlefields of Culloden back in 1746. Now, just down in the copse of trees there, down on the right, that's where you'll find Och Farm. And even that's moved with the times in that it's got its own timeshare cottages down there. And where the railway bridge over in the far right is, that's the mouth then at this end of Glen Lyon. You'll notice there's an awful lot of forestry around here as well, and in the main it's Sitka spruce and larch. Larch are the lighter green leafed trees, and the spruce is the darker greens, and the spruce actually are evergreen. The larches, they cast the leaves every autumn and regrow them every spring. In fact, it's only about the last five or six. Now, it's not the best of timber in this forestry at all. And of course, it was thought it was going to be an economic investment, investing in forestry. The likes of Sir Terry Wogan and the snooker player Steve Davis, for instance, invested quite a lot of money into forestry, perhaps not realising it would be 20 or more years before they would really get any return on their investment. For instance, out in the Amazonian rainforests and various other places, took out the roots and all, and of course the first monsoon rain came along, soaked the soil, and the whole lot slid off the hillsides. So they learnt lessons over there. They've adopted the idea of leaving the root, particularly high quality timber. Either the best it'll get used for is perhaps pulping to make paper, or pulping and compressing to get that kind of flooring that you can get, or perhaps chipping or mulching and mixing up with the glue and the resin to make fiberboard, chipboard or MDF. In fact, we'll see on Friday probably the biggest fiberboard factory in Britain, a little place called Cowie. And if you've had a recently fitted kitchen, your cabinets could have had their birthplace at that particular point. Kind of pursuit. And it must be about 18 years ago now that there were a group of police cadets up in the area that were doing some training. And one of their exercises was to do a whitewater raft along Glencoe. And the rallies have still never ever yet been recovered all of this time later. It's like I was saying earlier, you might not like the elements, but you've definitely got to respect them. Round at the bend, you've got the big information board, behind which is a sort of day-globe-backed triangular road sign with an exclamation mark in it, and just left of there, just left of the trees, is a circular helipad. It was actually built with the aid of lottery funds to help coordinate mountain rescues from here up towards Glencoe. Pretty sure it could do with some more lottery funds now to get the weed killer on it. RAF, amongst various other air forces, use many of the Highland Glens for low-level jet fighter training. And this bod got a little bit fed up of the jets coming across and frightening his dogs, his cats, his kids, his wife and such like. So what he did, he phoned up the RAF at Lucas and Lossiemouth and told them in no uncertain terms that the next time the jets were going to come across here, he was going to get his shotguns out and start firing at the jets. So instead of them put the wind up him, he was going to put the wind up them. Well, hardly surprising, but don't believe a word of it. Because our local Bobby from Dalmally went to visit him, and there they were, having a cup of coffee. And Stuart turned to Chris, he says, "Well, I suppose you want me guns, do you?" And Chris said, "Yep." So there they were, handed meekly over a cup of coffee. See that as a pilot on somebody's roof, you'd come down and buzz it then just for the hell of it, wouldn't you? Over the top shortly you'll see the waters of a loch called Loch Tulla. It's spelled Tulla. And born on the shores of Loch Tulla was a guy by the name of Duncan Ban McIntyre. A lot of this area is McIntyre in its clan, and this Duncan Ban McIntyre bod, he started his life as his working career anyway, as a groundsman and gamekeeper on the bridge of Orkney Estate. But come the time of the Jacobite uprising, somewhat foolishly joined as a mercenary soldier. Now his heart was never really in soldiery at all. In fact, in the first skirmish he lost his sword. And some reckons it was a sacred sword, others it had been presented to him by the Duke of Argyll, but whatever it was, he lost it. So he kind of got sacked. So he then started writing poetry. all of which was in the Gaelic language. But he was illiterate, could neither read nor write, but it was said to compensate. He had an absolutely phenomenal memory. And at any one time it was said that he could recite up to some 6,000 lines of his own poetry, a lot of which is now used at Gaelic music festivals, or mods as they're known. So again, coming now shortly by the waters of Loch Tulla, we'll get a better view as we climb up the hill in front. In fact, if the weather improves on the way back this afternoon, we'll have a wee stop halfway up the hill to get photographs of it on the way back. So coming around the sweeping bend, there's a little, what appears to be a bit of a dirt track going off to the right, which actually goes out to a set of farm buildings called a Halliday. And in amongst them,